anything that we pass, the chairman will have to vote tonight, so. At this time, I'll entertain a motion that we, if you have time to look over the minutes of the May meeting. I make a motion, we will go over the minutes. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, continue over minutes. No corrections. All right, claims and financial report. We're gonna do those together. Take a minute. We'll see if we have to ask Sherry some questions about it.
Okay.
I think the budget is running real close to what it's supposed to be. Any questions? Anything you want covered? We'll see if Sherry can answer it.
I was just gonna say, it's my understanding that Tiffany's planning on being at the meeting next month.
Oh, that's good, because next month, you guys need to have ideas written down that you want to present to the budget. You know, if there's some concerns, you know, that you want a vacation to Hawaii, whatever you can put into it, why, right, okay? Welcome, Joe. Sorry, I don't attend your meetings. Yeah. Like it.
I just conversed.
Any questions on this? Yeah, any questions? I'll entertain a motion that we accept the claims and financial report as submitted.
Make a motion, we accept.
Second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Jerry, can you enlighten us on anything about Lake Holiday waters or parks? Or water is wet. How wet?
Make sure.
We finally got the ditch mower. That's the bushwhacker? Yeah, the ditch. I know it's a bushwhacker. Okay. And trying to kill it all down as fast as I can. And it's a lot of work doing that. Cause it's been about a year and a half since it's been, yeah. So, but it's functioning quite well. So, the only other thing, the truck starter went out. Couldn't get it to start. This is the first new part on the truck, besides the tires. Batteries, that stuff, but I've never had failure of the truck. It was Did you do the starter, or did you take it out? I tried. Okay, 'cause I know what it's like to try to do that. And, but what I think it was, is there's a couple cable, braided cable that goes into the starter to, from the end. But I think what has happened over the years, salt and sand, cause it was just bare. Yeah, that salt's very corrosive. And I think that's why. Okay, how about our maintenance pontoon that we use some sprays? Denise happy with it? I'm it. It works. Has to make sure Denise is happy. Always she likes. Okay. I mean, had 2 times.
Okay,
And it's, we get around a little bit quicker. So. Yeah,
all right, thank you, Jerry.
Yep.
Jerry, you have anything to enlighten us on?
Just, we're getting a lot of boats registered, as always happens. It starts picking up in June more so than even before. Everybody's trying to get ready for the 4th. The gate is working wonderfully. I would like more people to realize if you're at the gate, you are on camera, and I'm not gonna say any more about that. No, 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 trust me, this time is not you.
Okay. If I'm gonna be in and out that lake at least 4 times within 4 hours, most of the time I just leave the gate open, in and out, in and out, in and out, you know. Because the pontoon trailer's 37 feet long, the truck, I parked out in the road and have to walk back to shut the gate, so I just make a fast trip.
No, When,
I
when,
consider
when
that-
it's you, I look, I'm like, okay, it's Bill, it's not, I'm not gonna worry about it being closed, cause you're coming right back, and I know it. And honestly, that's not exactly what I was talking about, but no, people need to be aware that they are on camera. But I've been, I've been helping Dave Bardos the past couple days getting all of the information put together for his dock list. So he'll have that. We probably got it all ready today
That's-
as far as,
That's really a trying task to stay on top of those unregistered boats that are in the docks area. And while we're all talking about the docks, there's 5 docks that have 5 dock holders that have not registered their boats yet. And there's 4 on the waiting list that haven't registered their boats. If you're on the waiting list and you haven't registered your boat, you won't even be called or to called. If your number comes up, you're on luck if your boat isn't registered, so.
what about the people that's on the floating miles, have they been notified about the dogs?
Say that again.
So you got a waiting notice,
Yes,
you said there's 5 people, the whole dogs haven't been registered.
that do not have a registered boat right as of yet.
So, the last meeting, said he's gonna wait till the 1st of June.
I don't remember that part.
Has anybody been contacted about people dogs?
No, not to my knowledge. And I didn't check with Dave on that. I just know what he sent me the information. But what it amounts to is they will not get to use it all year long. And I got a call today. There's 2 boats on the lake or on lifts or whatever. They're not registered. I said, well, why don't you give me the numbers? Well, I don't want to. Okay. No, don't call me. I mean, I didn't say that. You're wasting your time to call me if you don't give me a number, because I looked today, I was all around on the lake, I looked, and every boat I looked at, it was registered, it had a number on it. So we spent almost 5 hours out on the lake today, looking at boats and pontoon lifts and moving them, whatever. Okay, we'll move on. Anything else, Sherry?
no, I think that's pretty much, we're good.
Okay, I haven't heard anything from Denise, but I've seen the sign put up that the lake has been sprayed, what, Monday or something like that? I think it was Monday or Tuesday or something, so. She is doing her job. I waved at Dave today while I was right next door to him working on a boat lift. He didn't even look at me. He was busy doing something, so. I know. Any old business that we need to discuss? Anybody out, audience, can you recall anything we should be discussing this old business? How about new business?
I have a new business item.
Continue.
The auxiliary fridge was quit working. We had Dave's appliance come out and take a look at it. He says he cannot repair it. So I have, some quotes for new ones of the same kind. These are the options that are on Home Depot's website, and these 2 are Frigidaire, which Dave recommended. One's 20 cubic feet and one's 18 cubic feet, both with it estates.
Which one did Dave recommend?
He just recommended the brand Frigidaire.
Okay.
both of these are Frigidaire, and these are like the ones from Home Depot, so. The cheapest is $8.99, so that's 16 cubic feet, which is a little bit smaller than what we have right now, and these are comparable in size. What we have now.
Sherry, can we spend up to, $1,200?
I can check with Tiffany and make sure that that's in the.
Okay.
Budget.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion that we spend up to $1,200 to get the auxiliary. A refrigerator, get a freezer,
Refrigerator only.
refrigerator only. Oh, I saw freezer here, so, okay.
It says freezer list, hopefully, that's what it should say.
Yeah.
Yes.
With that motion, it's contingent upon Tiffany here. Giving us the okay. Motion,
I make a motion.
motion made, second, all in favor, say aye. Aye. So we'll get a new refrigerator if Tiffany
Okay.
gives us okay, all right?
When will she know?
I would say within today's probably my Monday.
Okay. We'll do, so the earliest delivery date, like today, was June 24th. So we have a breakfast on the 4th of July. I think we have it by the 3rd of July.
I'll reach out to her. I'll reach out to her tomorrow and see if maybe we can get an answer tomorrow.
We're waiting for.
She is, she's very, normally she'll answer within a day.
Okay,
So she's pretty quick to get back on things.
Nick, you order it or do we order it? Who would place the order? We don't have a tax exemption number, we'll say.
How did we go about ordering that?
I'll say when the stove was just replaced and Tammy just went and got that and brought in the receipt.
Okay. I can-
So
we
yeah,
can-
this-
Approval, then we can go get it and just bring your receipt.
And get tax number.
Okay.
If there may be a tax number on this at Home Depot. Is that where we're going?
That's what, yeah,
Okay,
they're all the same price everywhere. I just get Home Depot because they're in.
I can say firsthand knowledge, they are not the same price everywhere. I come from the appliance business. I would shop around a little bit. I guarantee you can find a better deal.
The same price in all 3 locations that I checked.
Okay, I'm just saying.
all right. Any other new business?
Yes, I'd like to.
All right, shoot.
My name is Will Russell, and I live at 668 lot on in Indian Hills. I'd like to talk about wakeboard boats and their impact on the lake. I guess I first described that over the last 3 or 4 years, and I've been here for 23. I've experienced quite a bit of damage to both my boat lifts, my wave runner lift, and to my dock and to my shoreline. And I can't attribute that to anything but the effect that bigger boats, in particular wake boats, are having on the lake. This is probably not a new topic for you. So I guess I'd start out by asking the question, what is the board's position relative to the impact of wakeboard boats on Lake Holiday? How much attention or discussion have you had on it?
Probably in 2 or 3 meetings we had, but one of the little, I guess you'd say one of the little things that's sort of stopping the board from doing, the chairman of the board has a wakeboard boat. He's out there doing it. So until we get all of our board members on track, to do something. not
Well,
much-
Okay, I can accept your position on that in terms of perspective. But I'd like to introduce some information here that I think is relevant and pertinent. Are any of you familiar with the state of Minnesota study?
Yes,
Have you read it?
well, I've read all of it, but does it have to do with those wakeboards destroyed 25 feet deep going in down the lake?
It's a 185-page report that was published by the state of Minnesota. published in January of this year. It reflects the findings of a University of Minnesota study on the effect of wakeboard boats on Minnesota lakes. It's considered the definitive piece of scientific investigation and evidence as to that impact. I did not bring a copy of the 185-page report. However, I did take that report and using an AI partner platform that I have an executive summary made of that 185 pages. It's very clear that the evidence is pretty substantial that wakeboard boating, and they define it as wakeboard surfing, which I'm assuming means no rope, and wakeboard planing, have a dramatic impact on as much as 3 to 10 times the impact of their weights compared to conventional boats operating on the same parameters. And to Bill's point, they also document an impact on the lake beds to as far as 20 feet deep. There's a number of other findings that are pretty disturbing relative to phosphorus and sediment disturbance and its impact on lakes. But the net of it is that the state of Minnesota is advancing legislation to, in fact, make much more restricted the use of wakeboards in Minnesota lakes. And that is only their position. A number of other states have already done that, with another handful or a dozen who are in the process as Minnesota. I'll just cut to the chase. What they have come to conclude is that wakeboarding should never be in less than 20 to 25 feet, to Bill's point, in a lake. And small lakes smaller than 300 acres should be much more restrictive as to how those boats are being utilized by way of the offset from the shore. It's my understanding that there's 100-foot offset on this lake. You'd be interested perhaps to know the state of Minnesota is advancing for wakeboarding boats a 500-foot offset. Now I recognize that that's not necessarily possible here, but I think that the board has a responsibility of subject boat ownership to the property owners, particularly those of us that are on the main body of water, to think about the damage that's being done, not just to my property or to my neighbor's properties, but in fact to the lake itself. So I'm going to leave a copy of this with you, but I would suggest that you look at the recommendations that are listed here and take that under advisement. And I would even encourage and urge you to take a look at the full report. It's publicly available on the internet. You can pull it down and take a look at it. But what the report also makes very clear is that the lag effects are well past in time as to when they actually are occurring, when the damages are occurring. And so I would consider, or I would think the board has a responsibility for representing the possibilities of that in the way that the policy or regulations are made on how the boats are used here. I recognize that a 500-foot offset is not possible, but on the other hand, there could be some changes in some of the regulations or constraints relative to where they have to be in a position of the middle of the lake or in the depth of the water that they operate in. Because as you know, you're part of this lake community as I am, that the boats can come into the barbell ends and they swing way out so that they get a bigger loop and come closer to the shoreline of those people who live on that part of the lake. So, you know, it's costing hundreds and thousands of dollars to anchors to my property over the last 2 to 3 years. I've had to bring in additional riprap. I've had to have my lift repaired 2.5 wheel times. My boat has experienced damage. You know, it's my understanding that the Conservancy has control of the shoreline and not the property owner. Is that correct?
That's correct. Where the water is,
Right, including all the dock and everything else. It's,
Yes,
in the water.
everything that's in the water and the water.
And it's technically illegally owned by the service, is that correct?
Yes, it is. That's the reason, no boathouses or no docks are taxed. They're taxed with, because the conservancy owns them.
Good. Well, I give you this report. I'd be happy to send you an electronic copy when I return to my business computer, which is where I have it. If you'll give me an email address. But I really, encourage you to begin to take some action. Not the least of which would be where those folks operate or how they operate. I also have a concern that you all know the pool today is much higher because of the rain. And I've lived here long enough to remember the stoplights that we're both in. Were those controlled by the conservancy or the LHPO?
Conservancy,
Why were those taken down?
I don't know.
I know why.
Why?
I know the one at the end, like, anyway, because the property owner
Oh,
asked for payment.
yeah, he
So-
was furnished with electricity,
Yeah.
and he says he either paid the bill, part of his bill, or he's taken them out, and he took them out.
Guys, the reason for my questions, of course, is when the pool is high, unless the safety officer is out there, there is no control over the boats and how they operate, including conventional boats. And by the way, the conventional boats are also part of the study. They studied 7 boat types in varying speeds, so it wasn't just about wakeboard boats. So they're also finding about conventional boats. But my point is that when the pool is high, all that does is exacerbate. If those boats are operating, it exacerbates the waves. You know, in this study, they found the waves off wakeboards can be 2 to 3 feet high. So one of the final points I'll make is that I think you also are responsible in terms of safety. Because with those types of waves, when the lake is busy, you could have a child come off of a tube and not be able to be seen because of those waves potentially. That's a pretty serious possibility and risk, in my opinion. So I think, I really would like to encourage this board to take its responsibility here and follow the evidence. If it needs to review boat owners or whoever that are breaking even the current restriction. That's all I have to say. This is my neighbor, David Rocker.
I know.
Just to tack on to what he's talking about, what I have noticed is Dave's doing a really good job trying to keep the boaters away from our docks. He's out there, he's been, I don't know if he's ticketed anybody yet, but I appreciate that he's been on the ball, checking up for us.
Yeah, he's a stern guy. He's very enforceful, but he's also wants to be neighborly. So he will give you as much rope as he can and hope you don't hang yourself with it.
Well, I'm trying to be a good neighbor here too.
Okay.
I understand people want to have fun and everything else.
But what we have is a problem that, how do we enforce something of that nature with somebody with their boat on the lake?
Well, there's 2 or 3 things, right? One is to publish new new constraints, right? And I make that actually part of the covenants or the rules of the conservancy. Second is to increase the monitoring. By the way, this study was done with underwater watering, observations, series instrumentation. It's very sound in terms of its impact. And it's being utilized by many states throughout the country to produce the evidence for why change needs to be at least considered. But to your point, also that having some signal about when the lake is above a certain level, in my opinion, would be, it used to be here. And I really have trouble understanding why. I get it about the property owner that was providing electricity, but they weren't providing electricity on the water system. So,
If I recall right, one of the things was the signals we have were antiques. The street department that got rid of it, and the bulbs, I think the bulbs were no longer, available. Because everything went to LED, little lights, and I think we checked into that and something like, $4,000 or $5,000. I'm making that up, but it seemed like that's what it was for one traffic signal that's digital,
Right.
you know, so. That's something,
I think there should be a light up there, so when somebody would be at idle speed. I agree with that. Yeah. I think you're, I was thinking, I walking over here today, the lake's up over, or to the bottom of our dock and saw a couple boats out there and thought, there should be something. They've talked about putting flags out on buoys and whatnot, and that'll probably never happen, but a light's pretty easy to manage. Probably into that, yeah.
because we have electricity out there, so, you know, it wouldn't be a.
Well, let me give you this, summary, this executive summary. And like I said, I'd be happy to send it, give you a email address. I'm happy to send that.
Another point I'd just like to make that is we can utilize the text service too. And I think David does that, but maybe just as a reminder that we do have a text service that goes out to all the holiday residents. It's better if there's a signal up here, you're on a boat, you see a signal, you don't necessarily have your phone, but in advance. All they have to do is send a message to Tammy Jo Atherton and she'll send out a Lakeway text, like. They got island.
Well, I know, you know, electronics, everything is more sophisticated now. What we had, there's times that green light would be on 10, 11 o'clock in the night. You know, if somebody sees it, well, light screen, I'm gonna see it after dark.
I think it's that problem pretty easily. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I'm gonna set that up.
Can I have, how long is the condensed report? How many pages?
158 pages, I think.
No, I
Oh,
know, but
it is?
then-
I didn't count. How many?
6 or 7. Well, can that somehow be made available to all the residents? Cause there's a bunch of us who live like further back. I mean, I still get the wakeboards and it comes up over my docks too. But, even further back to know the impact on the ecology of the lake, you know? And if you enforce it to where they could only be where it's over 25 feet, that makes them operating just out here in this circle essentially, right? And if you constrict down, I'm just saying, if you would take that much of a measure, you can strict down, then I don't see newer people with wake boats coming onto our lake because it would be so restrictive, you know? I mean, I know it's a process, but I do think our lake is too small for, I mean, I've thought that since I came here.
I even think the wakeboard voters would agree with you that this lake is too small for that,
Yeah.
but they have that investment and
I know. So I feel for them. You're not gonna get rid of them, but if you get them to where the only area they can operate, then you're not gonna encourage more people to come.
yeah, but then you're gonna affect this guy because they're gonna be running right by his dock all the time rather than up and down the lake. What our chairman suggested at the last meeting is have a sort of restriction, everybody that's gonna be wakeboarding. Be like, when I was talking to him, I said, when we barefooted on this lake, and I'm planning on doing it again this year, we use the middle of the lake. Only the fish goes out of moored, our boats are in the middle of the lake, wouldn't bother anybody on the shoreline fishing or whatever. To set it up that if you're gonna wakeboard, you have to wait your turn, and then you get the middle of the lake. But I don't know if that's enforceable or not. We'll see whenever the chairman comes back to the next meeting to see if he's going to pursue this anymore, because I'm putting that into his lap, you know, whatever then the board has to either yay or nay it, so.
A few things to take away though. I was gonna stay quiet, but I can't.
No, go ahead.
I mean, I live right over here and we wakeboard, we surf. I'm one of the bad ones. What's the damage that gets done? I mean, in your opinion, what's the damage?
Well,
I've read the studies, by the way, so.
okay, so you're aware of the erosion effect right on shorelines. It's my understanding some property owners here, at least one or two, where they are experiencing erosion behind their riprap from the waves, all right? I have clearly suffered erosion in my shoreline because I've had to bring in more and more riprap in the last 2 or 3 years, right? We can argue about whether the normal pool of the lake is higher. In my opinion, it is. In the course of the first 15 to 20 years I lived here, I thought the pool was very stable in terms of its relationship to the shoreline. I think over the last 2 to 3 years, it's up somewhere between 6 and 12 inches. The normal pool, right? Just a normal pool of water.
You think the lake summer pools affected by wake floats?
No, I'm saying the pool is higher because of the work that's been done probably on the gate. Of the game.
I see.
The pool, in my opinion, is higher. There's no question in my mind about it. But I do think that there's also more impact going on the lake bed than what people want to acknowledge. So the other damage I've had is I've had damage to my dock from the waves, and I've had damage from on my boat and my boat lift because the waves come in so strongly, it lifts the boat up and then slams it back down when the wave goes out on my lift. So I just had to pay a force permit today to put longer extension on my boat lift, right? To raise it up, first time in 23 years that that's had to happen. So those are examples of the damage. And I have a fixed dock, I don't have a floating dock, right? So I don't know, I had to replace the dock a couple years ago. I'm not attributing that to wakeboard. But I would say that the study, if you read the study,
I've read this thing.
and you saw that the wakeboard impacts are independent and greater than normal wind or boating activities by a significant amount.
I guess what I would say is the study indicates that most of the damage is done down, not out. So what's happening on the shoreline, I would say I don't think you could say that that's a wake boat or that's
That's not what the study
that's
actually.
what the study. So if the study is mostly concerned with lake beds, you're talking about the lakes of Minnesota, which are thousands and thousands of acres.
We did it across a whole spectrum of lakes, and in fact, they came up with specific findings and recommendations for lakes of less than 300 acres.
Well, the other thing I would say is if you know if your concern is the lake bed, it's with the vegetation
I'm sorry.
on the lake bed. Is that what?
No, he's more concerned about his boat and boat lift being.
And the shoreline.
Let me tell you, I know why it's really bothering. Probably 3 weeks ago, I put his boat on the lift. Week later, I had to take it off the lift. It's been at times for 2 weeks because he can't use it because of the damage that the boat and the wakes did to the boat and boat lift. It just destroyed it, sitting there sideways. I understand where he's coming from on this. It's when they come in real close to him and you throw a 3.5 foot weight there and that boat is not that high, it just takes it up and his boat is a huge boat sort of. And it comes down, it mutilates that dock and the lift.
It makes a differentiation in the study about 10 feet of depth for a normal boat activity versus the 20 to 25 feet for the wakeboards. That's all based on the evidence coming out of the study. I mean, I'm not making it up.
I understand you're not making it up, but I think there's a lot of other things at play, and people say, "Well, this is kind of what it looks like this, so let's do it." And I disagree. I mean, I have another opinion. I've never had damage to my boat. There's another 100 boats on the lake that aren't being damaged. I would say your lift is probably too low. I mean, if your boat's getting lifted up by a wave,
But my lift's been there for 23
it's
years.
probably settled. Do you think that's possible?
No, because I've had, how many times have I had?
That's not even possible, is it?
Well, how many times have I had it reset, Joe?
Think about what happens. Think about what happens when you set 5,000 pounds or more on 4 points, leave it there for 23 years in dirt underwater. You don't think it could settle?
It wasn't on the 4 points for 23 years. It has been reset multiple times. I've had it reset by times already.
Yeah.
When's the first time you had it reset?
He's having it reset about every year.
So 22 years ago, you had it reset. You've had it for 23 years. You've had it reset every year
So I would say the past 5 years, he's had it reset every year.
for the past 5 years.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, but if
You correct me if I'm wrong.
No, they're basically.
But I don't know. I mean, I would disagree. Do the wake boats make a bigger wave? Sure they do. That's what they're designed to do. But, you know, people talk about vegetation being killed, fish being killed. We've got a lot of other things that are doing those things out here also. I mean, if it's gonna be vegetation, first off, let's stop spraying the lake. How about that? No.
No.
Why not? That kills vegetation.
I don't like the color of those lakes that are sprayed.
Well, I don't
Go
even
down,
know.
go down, go look at Wademan. You can almost walk on top. of the
If we're
water.
gonna protect vegetation, let's protect vegetation. If it's the fish, you better get all the bass fishermen out of here. Okay, because they're killing more fish than anybody, I promise you. So what I'm getting at is there are a lot of other things that maybe don't align with your preferences, but are still doing damage. I mean, so I would say if you're gonna start, you know, trying to enforce policy against, I think there's about 3 wake floats out here right now. And I mean, I see him out maybe once every couple of weeks. And the other thing I would add to that is there are a couple of them out here and you guys can figure out whose they are that aren't property owners. I mean, so, you know, do something with that if you like.
How, who? You got.
I'm not gonna name names, you guys.
Give me a, not here, at the meeting, give me a.
We can talk about it after the meeting,
All right.
right? But I know, I mean, out of the 3 or 4 lake boats that are around, it's like 2 of them don't even own property here. I mean, so.
Why do you think, as many as a dozen states have already passed and another 8 to 10 are passing these new constraints and regulations, if there isn't an impact?
Lobby, same reason all will get passed. You don't think that's a thing? You think
The
that's,
sponsors of the study were lake organizations like this conservancy board.
Yeah.
Were the sponsors of it, not private interest.
if you look far enough into the law being passed, you'll see that special interest groups are lobbying against it. I mean, it's no different than any other law that gets passed. So, I mean, if you're naive enough to believe that that doesn't happen, then
I didn't say that.
yeah.
I've seen where Lake Freeman is actually going through this same issue. And it's much bigger lake than we are.
You start killing off wake boats and then what's next? I mean, ski boats and then property values go down. I mean, that's, you know, that's a pretty slippery slope you're on right now.
I don't think he suggested getting rid of this, he suggested putting parameters around where the.
That sounded like you said restrictions. I mean, I don't know.
I mean, that's a restriction, right? Restricting where the.
Restriction could be a lot of things. So, I mean, I listen to you talk and in your opinion, this is my opinion, so.
Okay,
I have it, the board has responsibility, right, for the interest of the lake, not for the interest of boat owners. And there's an interest that needs to be followed for the interest of
I think it's the property owner is what you're talking about.
Certainly has a responsibility as the representative of the property owners
Of both,
for the lake.
of both.
I'm
So I
sorry,
mean, one can't be without the other. You can't have a lake out here without property owners.
okay, any other new? Thank you, Mr. Russell. And I'll probably see you later tomorrow afternoon, if I get back up Mooresville, okay? Any other new business? Joe, you wanna throw something about the meeting Tuesday night? After the service is out?
no, I'd rather forget that.
Okay. Anyone else, anything to come before the board?
You're gonna have a hell of a lot more people at his meeting than you got here.
Yeah, if our goal is to increase attendance, we've achieved that.
Just put a few more humps out there and you will. Probably shouldn't have said that. Anybody you've been contacted by?
No.
If nothing else is coming before the board, I'm gonna make a motion that we're adjourned.
I make a motion, yeah.
Okay. So, say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Appreciate the time.
Yeah.